There are two things you can be very sure of when motorcycling in Wales. One is that it will never be the same temperature from one moment to the next. The other is it's going to rain very soon. Today we're going to look at fixing the first of those problems, well, alleviating them a little anyway, by fitting these, the Oxford heated grips. So here we are then. This video is about the Oxford version of heated grips. There are other versions, but they do have slightly different wiring specifications, so be aware that this is just for the Oxford grips. Now the Oxford grips are quite nice. This is the Premium Adventure heated grips, the slightly larger ones, and they are trimmable. So if you have a slightly shorter handlebar, then you can actually shorten these down to the grip line there without damaging them. That's all in the information inside. You can look that up yourself. And I'm saying that because I've actually done that already on these. And the way I've done it is very simple. You use washing up liquid and a carving knife, and it cuts a nice clean slice off the actual end there. Put the washing up liquid on the carving knife, not the serrated kind, the flat kind, and some washing up liquid on there, and it just goes through like butter, I assure you. Well worth remembering that little hack. Anyway, back to the grips themselves. So these are the, as I said, the Premium Adventure heated grips, and they are, it says here, square threaded pattern for medium wear resistance and blah blah blah. Blocks siped, whatever siped is, tread for high levels of grip and feel, diamond tread pattern, waffle. So it goes on about these different shapes of actual grip texture on the gripper itself. Raised and tactile silicone buttons on the control unit. Battery saving mode, which turns off the unit if you forget. So this is always wired into the motorcycle, but if you forget to turn it off, it will turn itself off. It will not drain your battery. And the handlebar grip bracket is included. Well, that's a bit obvious really, isn't it? One other thing I have done with this, the actual panel that they use for the mounting bracket, it has one problem which I hope I've fixed, and I'll show you that in a moment. And then he goes on. 5 heat settings, ergonomically engineered grips, intelligent battery protection, easy to fit, easy to use, huge specification, see reverse of packaging. Okay, so reverse of packaging, and it tells you all exactly the same thing. So let's get this out of this box and see what's inside. As I said, I have opened this already, and I have made some adjustments to it, ready to go on the bike, but everything is still inside the package here. So let's just take the plastic packaging away. And what you have inside, first of all, is 2 grips and a control unit. Get those grips out. Take that out of the way. Then you have the main power lead, which attaches to your battery terminals and to the control unit of this. And then we have the bracket that I was telling you about. Now this comes in a bare metal, I would say, because it's not rust proofed at all. I've seen many of these in the bare metal just put on the bike, and they look terrible after about 6 months because the rain's got to them and they've gone all rusty. I've actually powder coated this one in black to try and stop that. I'm also going to fit it slightly differently when it comes to the fitting on the bike to the way everybody else seems to do it, which is upright like that. I'm going to actually try and fit it downwards so that it looks a lot better, isn't it? Just stick it up in the middle, and actually you can actually get at it better as well. Come to that when we get to the fitting. Then you got a little bag full of the various nuts and bolts, some of which also I have painted black to match. Bit of OCD there, I suppose. Or is it CDO? That's the advanced version. Anyway, this is the left-hand gripper. And you can tell that by the way this curves here, so that you want that curve that way, so that when you turn it, it isn't pulling on, as you would if you pulled it that way, it'd be pulling on the wire. So that's the left gripper. And then you have the right-hand gripper. Now if I just take out the control unit first, you'll see it's exactly the same, only the opposite way around. And as I said, I have taken off the ends of this to make it so that it doesn't overhang the actual handlebars themselves. So that's the right and the left, identical, the bracket, the power lead, and finally you have the control unit, which all this plugs into through the 3 connections here. And you have 5 levels of heat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 30, 40, 50, 75 and 100%. And if you go all the way down, of course, it goes off. And this, you'll see it on most bikes, is fitted like this. And it sticks up above the handlebars like that, which I think looks terrible. But I'm actually going to fit it so that, let's get this right, it's downward like that. So it will be just below the handlebars. Again, we'll get to that when we fit the unit itself. Now, you can get these in various forms and various lengths for various types of motorcycles. I think you may be able to get various size apertures as well, but I'm not 100% sure on that. The fitting is going to be very straightforward. Simply connect the wire to the battery, connect these to the unit, connect the wire to the unit, put the bracket on, screw it on, and it's done. The hard part is getting the old ones of these off and sliding these on. And again, I might have a little hack for that as well when we get to it. Let's get this down then and get it fitted to the bike. Okay, so here's my secret hack for taking off the grip from the handlebars. First of all, of course, we've got to take off the bar end. Straightforward hex key to take it off with. Put that out the way. Now, next step, you've got to not grip this part here. You've got to grip the ends here and here. And all you do is quite simply, with a little bit of leverage, like this, slip it off. Simple as that. Or is it? Okay then. That may not have been the full secret itself to taking off these grips. Let's show you how it's really done. First of all, we do have to, of course, take off the bar end, so let's get that taken off first. Sometimes they're a bit tighter, you need a bit of a lever, but these ones are okay. So, off with the bar end. Put that somewhere safe. Now then, if I were to just grab this like this and try to pull it, all it'll do is roll back. And that's part of the secret. First thing you need to do is roll it back as far as you can. And then, as you heard in the other part of the video, when I was showing you the parts to the heated grips, I mentioned washing up liquid. Straightforward. A little bit, doesn't need to be much. Pull it back on. And then do the same the other way. Try not to drop the washing up liquid bottle as I do it. Roll back. Now, some people would say, yeah, use WD-40 or some oil, but we're dealing with rubber here, and especially WD-40 can be quite bad on rubber and deteriorate it. So be careful what you use. Washing up liquid is quite safe. So again, roll it back. A little bit of washing up liquid, doesn't need to be much. Work it round and roll it back. Now the next step is the awkward part, because in the middle here is usually where you can't get the washing up liquid to, so you just twist it. Twist it both ways until you feel it lose its grip, and then off it comes. Really nice and easy, simple to do. So, washing up liquid, other brands are available. That's the first part. Next, we've got to clean this up a little bit, and I'm going to do the same thing, putting it back on. Now, you might say, well, you're going to have the grip actually slipping. The truth is, after a little while, within a few hours really, definitely within 24 hours, the washing up liquid, it crystallizes sort of and becomes really tacky and holds the grip in its place rather than making it slip. Really good stuff to have around when you're doing motor mechanics. Don't put it on paintwork though, especially if it's got wax on it. You don't want to take the wax off. So just give it a little wipe. And there should be enough left on there now to get the new grips on. So let's get the box with the grips in, put the grips on first, and then we can start looking at the wiring. So now we come to actually fitting the heated grips themselves. There is a difference between the two, because the throttle side has this extra sheath for the throttle itself. The clutch side doesn't have that, so this is a little bit wider than this one. So make sure you get it the right way around. The other thing you don't want to do is put it on so that when the throttle is open, this part is in front of the brake, because it could interfere with the brake. I suggest putting it so it's on with about a 45-degree angle like that. So just slide it on. And if it doesn't quite go on fully, just give it a little twist. Get in the right position. And then check to make sure it's not interfering. You can go a little bit further. And yes, it doesn't interfere. So just to not quite level. This then we can thread down through to the other side, and we put the other side on. So threading the power wire through them, underneath the throttle body, in line with the other wires that are already coming down. There's a little metal hook here. You can put it in and down through there as well, and then you can bring it up across the other side, underneath to this side, and it's another little metal hook this side as well. On this side of the bike, you can actually thread the other wire down through that one. Next thing we need to do is to make sure it doesn't move about. Make sure there's enough free play on the loop here so that it doesn't catch or strain, and make sure that this is firmly in place so that it doesn't flop about or move when you turn the handlebars. And then we do exactly the same on the clutch side, making sure again that this doesn't foul the clutch when it's finally in its place. And then a little twist to get into the last little bit. Very tight already, even though there's that washing up liquid on it. So as you can see, that is not going to move. Just put that into place. Make sure it doesn't foul. It's still a little close. I'm going to turn it a touch just to make sure it doesn't foul the clutch at all. And again, thread the wires through, follow the original wiring along, down through the little wire loop there. And I'll just put a zip tie on there to hold it there. This of course is not moving, so there's no risk of this being pulled over tight as with the throttle. Just make sure the wires are put away, it's not going to foul anything. Pull the zip tie tight, clip the excess off. And the right way around. So now we're ready to fit the control unit, and then finally after that we'll be fitting the power wire itself. Okay, so the next part is fitting the mounting plate for the control unit. Now I did want to fit it this way up, and I did give it a trial, but unfortunately when you do that you can't actually fit the mounting unit to this without drilling extra holes. So I'm going to have to do it the way it's shown in the instructions and fit it upwards. I prefer it downwards because the wiring doesn't get in the way going over the top, and basically it looks nicer down there, I think. But that's the only thing I can do, is to fit it the right way up. I've loosened the bottom one already, so now just loosen the top. and we take one out at a time. Now, the bolt that replaces it has a flat washer and a spacer. The reason for that is when you put the flat of this onto here, there's a rounded edge there, and it doesn't fit flush. So you need that spacer to make it fit flush. So we put that in there, spacer on the back and through the hole, and just nip it up lightly. It does not be very tight, just a light, so it catches and holds. Take the other Allen key out, or Allen key bolt out, and do exactly the same with the second. Spacer behind, bolt through, and then make sure you do this by hand first of all to ensure that you've got it threaded properly and not cross-threaded. Always do that first, because you don't want to damage the throttle lever housing. It's quite expensive to replace that part. So it's in nicely. Just tighten it up. And make sure the lever's in the right position for you as well when you do this. You can actually mark the position of the lever on there if you want to make sure you put it back in the same place. So that's just tighten, not over tight, just tight enough. So that's on there now. So the next part is fitting the actual unit onto there. And that simply goes on like this. Now, the difficulty with this is, of course, I've put this on already, and this needs to be screwed on to the top of this. So I'm going to take this back off again. So now, we're going to screw this on. I like to leave all my mistakes in my videos. If you watch my Tech It Out channel, you'll see that I always tend to leave a mistake in if I make it, simply because I'm not an expert. I'm an amateur, like perhaps many of you are, doing this for the first time. And I want to show you the mistakes that can be made, so that you have a bit of confidence perhaps to try it yourself. This is not going in, so let's get a screwdriver. And there are 4 screws. Makes it a little bit harder, of course, that I'm trying to do it on camera. Trying to keep everything in focus as well at the same time. There's one started. I'll just start them off and then we'll jump to the finished article. Okay, so now I've gone back on again and I got this in place. Just need to nip up the bolts once more. Not too tight, and make sure, as I said, they're not cross-threaded. And that one there, yeah, feels okay. Not too tight. You don't want to strip any threads. In place. Again, you need to thread this wire down in a way that's not going to interfere at all when you're using the handlebars turning left or right. So we're going to use the same routing around there, down through this metal loop, and then we're going to find a place below to attach it, and then attach the rest of the wiring, and then the final wire is the power wire. So let's just get this down here first. Zip tie, just to hold it in place with these wires here, and that's that job done. Okay, so we're nearing the end of the installation now. I have the throttle heated grip wire here, and I have the control units here, and then I have the clutch side heated grip wire here. Thing of note, this wire here is actually for the Kawasaki heated grips, so I could have used the patch wire from the battery, just plugged it into here, but there's no point in that as the patch wire is already fused. And as I said, these heated grips are controlled so that if you switch the bike off after a certain amount of time or voltage drop, they will switch off. So we don't need that. Put that out of the way. And we plug these in. So we got a little lip on this and a little clip on that. And that fits in there. And just clip it in. And the same with the other one. Just double check in there, make sure I had the red and whites, not the red and black. The red and black is the main power feed. This one's a bit tight, doesn't want to go in. There we go, in she goes. That's all ready. I have left quite a bit of slack in the wire there, all the wires, to make sure that when you turn the handlebars, it's not going to pull any of the wires or affect the steering. So the last thing we need then is, I'll just zip tie that to there so that we can put the last wire in, which is the power feed. So I've got that zip tied down to the main harness now. So we come to the end now then, it's just the power feed to plug in. Now you will notice that on the power feed, the clip or the notch is on the end here and the clip is on there. So again, exactly the same, plug them in. A couple of cable ties. Let's grab a couple of cable ties and tie them down. One there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it up to the tank, put it under the tank until we get to the back there. And then the excess harness I'm going to put in with the battery. So let's connect it up to the battery and then we can see if what we have done is actually working. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we've got to be very careful here because we don't want to disconnect the battery completely. But at the same time, we need to undo the bolts so that we can put the wiring power supply on. So I'm just going to loosen that a little bit. Use the screwdriver bit to take it out, and at the same time I'm holding the connection down so it maintains a connection to the bike. Careful what you're doing with anything metal near batteries. Keep that connection to the bike. Carefully take out the bolt. This is the negative side, the black side. So we're going to put the negative on first. And again, always use negative first. Because if you do get a short, it's because you put the positive on first. So again, keeping that connection tight. Getting the bolt back in. And hopefully, by doing that, we've not disconnected the power supply from the bike. Just pull it around, tighten it up. That's nice and tight. Again, don't over tighten. And then we simply have the positive side. This is a little tail, by the way, for my battery tender. Get the positive side, and we do the same with the positive side. Move the little shroud back. It's a safety shroud to stop you shorting anything. And again, very carefully, don't touch any of the metal with the ratchet. Not too tight. Finally, then, it's just a question of tidying up these wires so that they're not in the way of anything. A little bit of cable tie there, and it'll be all set. Let's see if it works. Okay, so this is it then. This is the final test to see if it's working. Make sure everything's working on the bike and that the new unit, the Oxford heated grips, are fitted and working properly. Turn on the bike. Powers up. No error codes. The engine light, of course, won't go out until I start the bike, same as the ABS. It don't go out until you actually move the bike. Oil level light, exactly the same. All go out when you start up the bike. I'm not going to start up the bike now because it's quite late at night. I don't want to wake people up, basically. So I'll do that another time. But let's see if the unit is working. So we'll put it level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll hold the grip. Is it warming up? Yes, that's definitely warming up. I can feel it. So that side's working okay. Let's check the other side. And that side's warming up as well. I can feel it. Definitely getting hot. Now, there is one little extra I've got to do. I've got to trim a little bit more off this side because the bar end is catching on it and rubbing slightly. And I don't want that because I don't want the throttle to be jammed open at any time. So I'm going to adjust that. Again, a little bit of washing up liquid, a knife just to cut the edge off, and that's it. Simple job done. Back on with the bar end. So the job is complete. That is lovely and warm. Let's try that one again. Yes, definitely lovely and warm. So let's turn them off. And the job is done. Again then, thank you for watching Revs IT. Ride on and ride safe.